Hi, I'm Paul Chrisma, I'm your happiness expert, and this week we are talking about the most dreaded of all things, an existential crisis. You know, an existential crisis is just when we don't really know our purpose. What are we here doing on earth? Why do we wake up in the morning? Why do we go to work at some of the dead-end, depressing jobs that some of us go to work to? Why do we have these relationships sometimes that go on in our lives that don't give us satisfaction and joy? And what's the purpose of it all? Existential crisis, right? That's what we're talking about. And this can be humorous in the way that I'm presenting it so far, but I mean, it also has catastrophic consequences sometimes. People get psychotic breaks where they lose touch with reality. They start believing in things that aren't based in anything true. They can get deep down in depression as a result of existential crisis. And frankly, even in mild forms, it causes low mood, frustration, that kind of eating away at your soul, burnout, and just generally sadness. So that's what this video is addressing. We've got two ways that you can address your existential crisis. One is kind of the material way. It's grounded here on earth in the things that we do. And then kind of in a woo-woo way, I'm going to also talk about in next week's video, the non-material, transcendent ways of ridding ourselves of existential crisis. So stay tuned. As a coach, public speaker, and best-selling author, I teach topics just like this one all around the world. So stay tuned and I'll give you practical tools that you can use to make both yourself and those around you both happier and more successful. So the truth is, our existential crisis, our feeling like we don't have any life purpose, extremely rare for that to come up when we're feeling good. This sense of purposelessness, what's it all about? We don't ask ourselves those questions when we're in a good mood. De facto, feeling good has purpose. I've said this in other videos. There's a good researcher who talks about happiness being the ultimate currency. Well, so long as we're paying for our lives and dealing in our interactions with the life on the currency of happiness, we don't start questioning why we're here. We're happy. Why should we question it? And feeling good has some surefire sources. And that's what we're going to talk about through the remainder of this video, that we can get on this material plane, in this physical reality of Earth, some ways to be engaging in activity where we know we have a sense of purpose. One of these ways is really clearly knowing our own personal strengths. And I've got a free resource that you can get at the link below that's called a peak experiences exercise, where you just get to examine your own life, look at your self-awareness for what things in the past you've done that lifted your spirits, that made you feel good, and a kind of that healthy pride that this was something you really want to be involved in. So a peak experiences exercise. And then I also pay for every coaching client I deal with, without fail, every single one. I pay to have a Gallup strength test. It's a psychometric assessment administered. And there's a number of ones you can get. The $20 one that gets you your top 5 strengths is all you really need if you do decide to go and get it for yourself. Gallup's Strength Finder tool basically lays out what are the 5 generally occupational skills and aptitudes that you bring forward into the world. And of course, there's a total of 34 that are find outable. You can get those in the survey for more money. But who cares what your 34th strength is? Nobody is going to ask you to work in your weakest strength. We want you to work in your top 5 strengths. And these Gallup strength tools are incredibly well validated. The science is fabulous. Hundreds of thousands of people have done them. And I've never worked with a client who didn't really identify with the strengths that were revealed in their survey. So this assessment, go and get it. And the reason why, looking at either the peak experiences from your life or these strengths that are identified by Gallup Strengths Finder, create that wonderful thing called flow. Flow is when we lose ourselves in the present moment, where we're involved in some activity that is so engaging that we stop thinking about all the other things that we need to do or all worrying about the past or the future. We suppress some of our biological needs. We can go without food and go without a pee for a while, and we get into that state of flow and we're just going, this is so good. And we don't even realize that the activity made us so happy until we're finished the activity, and then we go, that was fantastic. And people can identify with all kinds of things. It's playing sports, having a good conversation, singing, dancing can all be things that bring us in flow. But when we're in our strengths, we tend to get flow pretty easily. And so this may sound absurd, but when I'm on stage speaking to a big audience about happiness, I'm in total flow. I love it. I'm in my natural place. And that sense of flow, I don't think about being happy while I'm on stage, but when I'm done, I'm going, that was fantastic. And not that I was fantastic, it was just I was in this activity that in and of itself makes this rich reward for me. And it doesn't matter what your strengths are, when you're working in them, you have a much more easily accessible state of flow. So that's one of the major material ways to deal with an existential crisis, is work with your strengths. And the second one is live your values. Values give us direction. They give us a sense of purpose. When we have to choose between a fork in the road, should I do this thing or that thing? When we say, my top values clearly point to this fork in the road, this direction, then we have a real sense that our life has purpose. It's got a real sense of meaning. And I've done a whole video on values. So see the link below and you can go watch that video about values. And then you can actually get a tool there too that takes you to a spot on my website where you can do an exercise to identify your own values. And it's a super powerful thing that can guide you for years, if not decades in your life. Now, to sum all this up, existential crisis is terrible. We all want to have a sense of purpose. And there are two ways. One is the material way that we relate to the world we're in. And that means working your strengths and values. And get ready for next week because we're going to watch a video that's about living our transcendent purpose that's outside of the material world, and it's pretty darn exciting, I can tell you that right now. So if you like this kind of content, like and share the video. More people will get to see it as a result, and you'll make the world happier. And if you want to see more of this content yourself, subscribe to my channel and you'll get a new video every Sunday morning. And finally, thanks for watching. It's been a pleasure to share these few thoughts with you. Until next time, I'm Paul Krismer, your happiness expert.